What's going on, everybody, and welcome on in to episode 104. I'm sorry, 242. The hell did the last 100 episodes go?
Ace.
242 of the Garage Beers podcast, brought to you proudly here on the OBR streaming network. Get over to theobr.com and get to all the socials at the OBR. Make sure you hit follow, make sure you hit subscribe. And wherever you're watching us tonight, whether it's over on Twitter, make sure you're following the OBR. And if you're over on Twitter, do me a favor. Just bounce over to at the Garage Beers, hit the follow button on our social as well. And if you're watching us on YouTube or Twitch, make sure you hit subscribe and follow there as well. And give us a like. Pop us a little like in there, because we're good enough, we're smart enough, and doggone it, you should like us. And anybody old enough to understand that reference is a friend of mine. With you as always, I am your host, Mike O'Keefe. Find me online at Garage Beers Mike. And joining me, well, I don't even know why I'm announcing me. He doesn't even have a microphone. I got two guys that are, Chad is still putting his kid to bed. And now my other co-host, kid doesn't even have a damn microphone set up. That's right. I'll stall. I'm going to stall. We've got a great week.
I showed up.
What's that?
I said I showed up.
All right. Damn. Yeah, he's here. Okay. Also joining me down in Nashville, Tennessee. Find him online at Garage Beers Joe. It's Joey Whalen. What's up, Joe?
Record time mic setup right there.
Yeah, that was great.
Absolutely. Although, oh man, the AirPods are in like the noise canceling mode.
Ooh.
And when I'm trying to talk, oh, thank God, there we go. I hate when I can't hear myself talk.
You know how much easier this is to do before you come onto the show?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, great idea. No, I'm doing great, man. I was just, looking at, I got a big matchup this week. It's the fantasy football playoffs. Chad, you got a big matchup this week. You got some fantasy football playoffs coming up, right?
I already know where it's going.
Right.
Yeah, man. Back from the dead. My team was in the basement.
Mike,
my team was in the basement. I got healthy, and now I'm a force to be reckoned with. So you better watch out. I got Tiny Jean worried about right now. Jeanette. But it looks like I have pretty good matchups this week. I'm feeling confident. Boys. I'm going to make it.
And Mike, consolation bracket. Sorry, that's right.
Dude.
Toilet bowl.
I want to give full credit to my team. I started the season 0-5. I had two injuries, two big stud players go on the IR. Started the year 0-5. I came back and got to 5-5. And I was right in the thick of the playoff race. And then I lost.
It was tight.
And then I lost
down the stretch.
I lost the next 3 weeks.
And
I got a consolation win this week. But
I gotta give credit to Bandito. I played him this last week, and it was for the first round bye, the second seed in the league, and he beat me.
How is that guy's team made it to the second seed?
I don't know. I'm just glad I'm in.
It blows. It blows real bad.
I'm glad I'm in his side of the bracket.
It sucks a whole butt.
I want to give a shout out to the whole team or the whole league, because everybody was close pretty much, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
it was our worst record in the league was 5-9. Our best record in the league was 9-5. There was nobody that like blew everybody out.
Yep.
And there were no terrible teams. So shout out to the league, to the fantasy league.
Shout out to the league
for pretty good parity this year. And some of the same players in that postseason that we're used to seeing, but also some new faces. So it's going to be fun. I'll step back and enjoy, as the commissioner, I will just enjoy a successful postseason for my team, and may the best team win.
No, I mean,
it's a tradition we hope to. Oh, sorry. Go on, Chad.
Well, I was going to say, all I can do right now, Mike, is just sit back, watch the film, and just, do better for next season. That's really it.
Shut up, Chad.
It's a streak we're hoping to keep going for a long time. So
you're a real piece of shit. You heard him. I didn't even bring him in yet, but you heard him. He finally made his way over here. Find him online at Garage Beers. Chad, it's Chad Meyer. What's up, Chad? What's going on with you, buddy?
Yeah, actually decent weather. This is going to be the last show out on the porch for the season.
Can you turn your mic up? You're like the quietest you've ever been.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Last show out on the porch, guys. It's actually kind of, decent weather. I've always said as long as I can sit out here comfortably in sweats, I'm good to go. But gonna shut the porch down for the season after today, and so I figured I'd do one more show, and here I am.
I love it. Welcome, boys. I I'm here. Now I'm not like sleepy Chad like last week, but I'm freaking whooped. I drove to Cincinnati Sunday evening. I watched the Browns game here, and then I got real mad and I left with like 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Drove down to Cincinnati. I worked in Cincinnati on Sunday night, or on Monday, I'm sorry. But Lucy had a dance recital on Monday, and it's her first like thing she's ever been in. And so I worked in Cincinnati on Monday. I drove back up here to go to this dance recital that lasted 30 minutes. Hopped right back in the car and drove to Columbus, where I slept last night. Got up this morning and drove to Cincinnati, worked again, and now I'm back home. So it's been a few days. It's been a few days.
Ew.
It's been a few days. So I'm ready for tonight. I'm ready to just chill and hang out with you guys and talk about sports and drink some beers and have a good time. You guys in for this?
Sports, beers, go. Yes.
Nah.
Yeah, I'm out. That's been the show. Episode 242, everybody. Thanks for joining. No, we've got a great show and we've got a lot to get to. There's stuff to talk about with the Browns. We can finally dive into the college football playoff and what that looks like. And I want to talk to you guys about some of the reactions I've seen to it, because I think sometimes I have to remind myself that some people get paid a lot of money just to react to things.
Mm-hmm.
Because oh man, some of the reactions I saw to the college football playoffs were wild.
I'm very, very I try not to pay attention too much to some of the overreactions, but man, I can't. Let me just say I can't wait for my asshole of the week.
Chad can never wait for his asshole of the week.
Hey-o.
Let's start the show, though, real quick with our first cheer of the week. Let's just start with our first cheer of the week, and it's our buddy Gregory. 40th birthday, buddy.
Hey.
And Gregory is spending it with us. Gregory, happy 40th birthday, pal. We're going to have some cheers to you, buddy. You beat me to it. I got 40 coming up in 2 months, so let's go. Love it. Shout out, Gregory, for your 40th birthday. And you get a cheers right off the bat. All right, boys, let's go into our garage beers of the week. And then we're going to start with a topic that I did not think we were going to start with tonight until about 2 hours ago. And then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. And so we're going to start with that topic. But let's do beers first. And I never lead it off, so I'm just going to lead it off. Full-on Christmas beer mode. Festivus by Market Garden. It's a good one. It's a different one. It's a little bit lighter, right? Like the color of Christmas ale is usually a little darker. And this is kind of a light beer. It kind of looks like a lager almost.
Yeah.
But lots of flavor. Great beer. Market Garden down there on West 25th. Always good beers down there. So that's my beer of the week. Chad, what about you? What are you drinking?
It has been a minute since I've gone to Southern Tier. But tonight, boys, I got the Chestnut Praline Imperial Ale.
Oh, good one.
Ooh, that sounds so good.
Yeah. So here, bottoms up. Here we go. First time ever having it.
I think you're going to like this one.
Okay. I'm getting hints of cherry.
I would hope you're getting hints of chestnuts and praline.
And sweet praline.
Praline.
And praline. Yeah. If Benjamin were an ice cream flavor, he'd be pralines and dick. No.
Yes. What a good quote.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. It's a different type of flavor. I don't think I've had chestnuts and pralines together, but yeah, it almost tastes like I said, it's like cherry. It's almost like cherry Coke in a way, but it's good.
The Garth quote. What a great Garth quote that is from Wayne's World.
Yeah.
And I always forget about that one.
Yeah, it's
pralines and dick.
I'm having a good time. Not.
All right, good one. Let's give you guys a shout out a little bit. Drew always warms up with a handful of bushes, which I love. Not Bush Lights, Bush Heavies. And now he's on to Mad Elf from Trogs. Shout out to
back-to-back weeks he's done that combination.
It's a good combo. It worked for him last week. It works this week. You can't go wrong with it. And then Gregory celebrating the 40th birthday, Devil's Backbone, and Jameson tonight. Look out. Gregory's on one. 40, and we're getting after it. So shout out to that. Joe, what are you drinking?
We're going down the whiskey train tonight, boys. We got Uncle Nearest, 1856. If you don't know Uncle Nearest, Uncle is the first name, not an uncle. Just literally call me Uncle. Last name Nearest. That's the guy that taught Jack Daniels how to make whiskey. Awesome. If you ever come to Tennessee or Nashville, like one of the best distillery tours you can ever do.
It was only like
Just-
45 minutes outside of Nashville, right?
Yeah, pretty close.
Easy.
And like you can even do this and Jack Daniels on the same day. They're pretty close to each other. Fantastic whiskey. Is like top line whiskey level type stuff you can get in Tennessee. So cheers, boys.
And for those of you that are Cleveland area people, for those of you that have been to Put-in Bay, it is officially the place now that has stolen the longest bar in the world away from the bar up at Put-in Bay. And they told us that we took a tour. I was down there for Joey's wedding, and we took a tour last year. And it was so funny. The tour guide was like, when this is all said and done, they were putting on like an expansion. They were like, this is going to be the longest bar in the world, which is held. And immediately all of us from Cleveland, Ohio looked at each other, and she was like on some island in the middle of Lake Erie. And we were all like, Put-in Bay. And then we kind of got mad. We were like, why are you taking that? But
it's the long bar's only thing.
Well, the problem for the long bar now is there's nowhere to go. What are you going to put the bar out in the street to make it longer? So we'll see what happens. Right now, the title belongs to Uncle Nearest. One of the coolest distillery tours I've ever been on in my life.
So cool. And we went when it was like they were still building like the place.
It was awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
So those are our drinks. We got a couple of years in, but again, if you're joining us and you want to just keep throwing your drinks in, let us know, or get over to the socials. If you've got a favorite beer that we haven't had on the show and you want us to try it, tell us about it. We'll go get it. But boys, cheers to you. Cheers to all of you listening. And let's dive into episode 242. And guys, I did not think come like 6 o'clock this evening, I did not think that the leadoff of this show was going to be the Cleveland Guardians. I did know we were going to talk about the Guardians a little bit with the winter meetings going on. But this evening, I get a phone call from Chad. Here's how this went down. I had just gotten home from Cincinnati. I was like talking with my kids and I was making dinner with my wife, and the phone rings and it's Chad. And I'm like, oh, what the hell is this? And all he says is, dude, this better be a fucking monster return. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And then he told me, he said the Guardians traded Andres Jimenez to the Toronto Blue Jays. So big news today out of Guardians world is that the Guardians trade Andres Jimenez, and maybe not to be overlooked, but Nick Sandlin, who's played a pretty good part in that bullpen over the last couple of years. Jimenez and Sandlin get traded to the Toronto Blue Jays for Spencer Horowitz. Spencer Horowitz was the number 9 ranked first base prospect in baseball. He got more playing time last year. I think he wound up hitting like 252 with 12 homers and 40 some RBIs. But still a guy that doesn't have a lot of major league experience, even though he's 27 years old. Again, in baseball years, that's not super crazy. But Spencer Horowitz is the return. We spent a long time tonight. It was a wild night because initially Jeff Passan comes on and announces the trade on Twitter, and then there's no return for like a half hour. It's just the Guardians are trading Jimenez to the Blue Jays, and that's it. So we were all sitting there like, what is going on? And finally, it gets reported that Horowitz is a part of the return coming back to Cleveland. Well, it turns out Horowitz is the return. I think there is a minor league outfielder that got thrown in as well.
Yep.
But boys, let's talk about this. The winter meetings kicks off with a bang for the Guardians. I want to talk about what you think just in a bubble of this trade. So let's start with that, and then let's expand it out to what we think it says about how the Guardians are approaching this offseason as a whole.
What was the first question?
Just talk about this trade, and maybe not about the overall philosophy, but just these players involved in this trade and what you think of it.
I love it. When I first saw it, instant gut reaction was like sad because like I like him, and like I think he's had some really great contributions to this team. But we saw an unfortunate trend with him where defensively off the charts. I'm not going to say anything negative about the defensive side of the game. We have a lot of really good defensive players though, and a lot of that doesn't translate to offense very well. Himmy had a great first year at the team. He has been nothing but inconsistent at the plate since then, and really has not been able to find it. And I think when you look at ready now guys that we have to play second base, you have like 3 Andres Jimenez from an offensive perspective. I don't think, defensively there's anyone that's quite at his level, but like you can throw Schneemann over there. You can throw, I don't know what else you can throw over there. There's guys. I'm blanking on the roster.
Rocchio can go play over there.
Roku can go over there. And don't forget, you have
I can play at second base.
You have your number one pick from last year, Travis Bazzana, that is maybe going to see some time here the next year, most likely the year after this upcoming season. But like, if he progresses well and he has a great spring training, there's, it's not unheard of that he could show up here this next season. So I think that this is clearly a make room for the future kind of move. Horowitz is a fine return.
They're always making room for the future.
Yeah,
but that's we'll get into this with the philosophy. That's Guardians. That's Guardians ball, baby.
I know. At first, when I initially saw it, I hated it. I mean, obviously, it's whenever you see a player to the caliber of Jimenez getting traded from the Guardians, you just your mind immediately goes to God. They can't. They can't keep a team together. They can't keep a competitive team together. They're right there. They're right there. All they need to do is tweak something here and there, and they can put themselves over the edge. They were right there. We set ourselves. They were 3-4 plays away from beating the Yankees last year to go to the ALCS, and then something like this happens. And I can't. Initially I was angry, but then that all dissipated because, well, this is a Guardians move, right? This is how they operate. I stopped getting mad at them a long time ago for these types of moves, because this is what they do. All right. Why would anybody expect them to do anything other than what they've been doing over the last however many years that the Dolans have been in charge? So, as far as a philosophy goes, or not philosophy goes, as far as the players go, I like it's a Guardians move when they make a gutsy trades like this, right? It's Horowitz. He's got 6 years of control and he's very cheap right now. He's versatile. He can play first or second, or I think it said he even play, I don't know, maybe another
outfield.
Outfield as well. So obviously I think that spells the end of Josh Naylor, but that's a different conversation. But yeah, Andres Jimenez, elite defensive player, and yeah, I totally agree with Joey. His bat was not living up to his contract right now. His bat was not. I doubt this trade is made if he is batting 280 every year, and with a few more bombs and a few more RBIs. But it's the way Chernoff and Antonetti have to work. They do. They always have to be looking forward. What's the path forward? What's the path of the future? And they've made plenty of gutsy moves like this in the past, and they've been right more than they've been wrong. So right now, I'm just going to trust them. I mean, I'm expecting some sort of what that means for this year. I'm expecting some sort of combination of Juan Brito, Brian Rocchio, Angel Martinez up the middle. That's exactly what I'm saying. I think I don't know that Bazzana shows up this year. I think Mike Horowitz might be a move to really just kind of keep the seat warm for Bazzana, for whoever, whatever that combination is of up the middle this year. Maybe we do see Bazzana. I don't know, but I think initially, I think that's what this move means. So, yeah, I hated it at first, but then I just the calm washed over me, and it's like, well, this is what it is.
Yeah. Listen, my first reaction was the same. Sometimes I think I want to overthink everything. And it's a deal like this that makes me think, like, I start reading the reactions and instantly, and I know I fit into this category because usually instantly I'm always going to be the person that try to find what the team is thinking when they're doing what they're doing. And then I try to make sense of it. And then I'm like, okay, this is why this makes sense. There is a lot to that with this trade, but up front, I don't love this. I don't love it. I think we need to live in a world, and I think you see it on winning baseball teams. I think balance is not necessarily a bad thing. And Andres Jimenez, you want to say you don't have to care that much about defense, but defense lost the Guardians games in the playoffs against the Yankees in New York. Game 1 against New York was lost because of the Guardians defense. They were not a spectacular defensive team. So he was this stalwart over at second base that at least every time the ball got hit on the ground over there, he felt like, all right, a play is going to get made. And I got to tell you, even in the playoffs, we can sit and whine about his bat, but how many runs did that guy save? How many times did a ball get hit into the hole? It happened multiple times in the playoffs against both the Tigers and the Yankees, where all of a sudden there he is sliding in the outfield, grabbing the ball and firing it from his ass to first base, and he fires a seed over there, and it saves a run. I don't know. I feel like that should be valued more than what it is. I think what we needed to do with Andres Gimenez is to stop looking for that bat, because he was just going to be like an bat forever. That's always what he's going to be, is an bat.
You're running out of places to put that. Like you have too many bats on the team. Like,
yeah, but it feels like we've created a little bit of a problem to try to solve another problem, but they're not going to solve that other problem because they're not going to spend the money required to solve that other problem. So now it just feels like, all right, we got a hole, or at least we've taken something and maybe created a little bit of a problem, and there isn't going to be the thing that's solved. I like Spencer Horwitz. I want to say this. I do think as far as the impact on the game is concerned, Spencer Horwitz's bat, remembering that last year he hasn't had a ton of that MLB experience. I think last year was the first time he had as much as he had, is like a full season in baseball, in Major League Baseball. I think his bat has the potential. If he lives up to the potential of what he is, Spencer Horwitz is a guy that can come out and hit you 25 homers. And he's a very much a plus bat.
And apparently he mashes right-handed pitching.
He does.
So I mean, it's I don't know. It's always a wait and see thing. It is. It's always, I call it the revolving, like I would say, the revolving door of uncertainty, right? Obviously this kid looks good. I mean, obviously, Chernoff and Antonetti, they do their due diligence on guys. They don't make these trades unless they're confident in the development of a pitcher or hitter or whoever they trade for. So, like I said, they're very good at identifying pieces that they want to get back from teams for the future of this franchise. And like I said, it's worked out more often than it hasn't. So for now, I'm going to put my trust in them. But I tell you what, this is going to look real bad if they fall on their face this year, especially after you were a couple of plays away from going to the World Series last year. So it's that I hope that they are that confident that they can get back there, and maybe not, and maybe not. Maybe they are looking at this year as maybe we're an every other year competitive type of team. Maybe not, but it sends a terrible. That's one thing. It does send a terrible message if you fall on your face this year after the season that you had last year.
But we're talking about MOs and we're talking about history. That's been the history of the Cleveland Indians / Guardians, hasn't it? Every time it feels like they've gotten real close and you think, all right, they're going to make that punch. And I will say 2017 was a little different because remember, they made the World Series in 16 and then they went out and signed Edwin Encarnacion and they spent a little money in that 2017 offseason. But you can start going backwards. 2007, great year. 2008 sucked. 2016, they got close. 2017, they tried, but then it never really developed from there. Just a couple years ago, 2022, they're in the playoffs. They're in the ALDS. They don't make any moves. 2023 stinks. Now we've got 2024. You made the ALCS. You can't at some point. And this goes in now. Now we'll talk about the overarching thing because I do think this gives us indications. Chad, you brought one up, and I think there's another one of maybe directions that they're going to look at going this offseason. But I'm telling you what, man, for the business sake of the Cleveland Guardians, you cannot make it to an ALCS and then be like, well, that was fun. We got close. Yeah. We're going to cut some payroll. We're going to hope some of these young guys develop, and we'll see what happens. You
Yeah,
can't do that. You
the only
wonder
thing
why you don't sell tickets.
Yeah. The only thing missing was the enjoy them.
Ugh.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the good news is, if you're looking for a silver lining about this, is with Jimenez, and I mean, obviously, it's not. I'm not going to call it official or pending, but it's looking like Josh Naylor is going to be traded. But once those two guys are off the books, they're going to have a shitload of money to be able to improve this roster elsewhere. Hopefully, that comes with, I don't know, an extension for Quan, but maybe they sign a couple more pitchers that can give them some innings. But they can't rest on this. They can't sit on this. Again, it's another bad message, like you said, Mike. After an ALCS, from the business side of things, it's not a good look. But they're going to have plenty of money to be able to do some things. So hopefully that happens. We'll see. It's a wait and see game. We're still very young in the offseason here, the MLB offseason here.
Well, and you brought up Josh Naylor, and that was always going to be the main talking point of this offseason. But with the emergence of some players on the team last year, and now with certainly Horowitz is more suitable for first base than second base. Okay, but again, now we've got to figure out. Now we've got to figure out where we go from here. If you go into the offseason and you get rid of Josh Naylor and Andres Jimenez, and it's guys like Spencer Horowitz that are taking their place. And again, I think Spencer Horowitz has got a shot to be pretty good, but like it's pretty unknown too. I just can't. I can't fathom. I cannot fathom. I believe it, Chad. Don't get me wrong. I know you're saying this is what they do, but I cannot fathom getting to the point where you got last year and then going, well, hopefully we get lucky again. I cannot fathom it. Now they took other steps. They took other steps, right? Signing Shane Bieber back for a year is huge. I think that's great. That's a phenomenal move for them.
Who you're not going to get back till June or July, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
You've seen Matthew Boyd go, and did you see the contract that Alex Cobb got in Detroit?
Yeah.
You didn't see it, Joe? 1 year, $15 million for Alex Cobb. You're muted. I don't know if you know you're muted, but yeah.
I got unplugged.
1 year, $15 million.
That's insane.
So I'm glad they didn't do that.
Oh, no.
That's a lot.
Crazy.
But I don't know. I don't know what else they're going to do. I know they're being tied. They're being tied really heavily to, I think it's one of the Japanese players coming over. And I can't remember who it is, but apparently there's Mike Chernoff has you're going to have to pardon me because I don't remember his name, but it's like the big name guy coming over from Japan this year. And apparently they are enamored with him. And so I did see somebody throwing out there that they may be looking to have the money to spend. And I also read a report that he is a guy,
Sasaki.
Yeah, I also read a report that he is a guy that may want to go to a more low-key destination. And he doesn't necessarily want to go to a big city. He doesn't care about being on like the West Coast or the East Coast. There was a report that he would want to be in like a little bit more of a quiet destination. Cleveland's lovely that time of year. I'm not going to get my hopes up for that, but I don't know. What are the moves, guys? So now you know they don't have Jimenez. You know Spencer Horowitz is there. You know you brought Bieber back. And yes, we'll see when he's available. You never know with these guys. Freak athletes are crazy. But what are the moves here for the rest of this offseason? What are we looking for them to do that's going to satisfy what you're looking for out of them this offseason?
Sign some pitchers that are going to give you innings. They still haven't signed any starters. I mean, well, still haven't. And it's a young MLB offseason, but that should be the main focus. Your starting pitching last year was god awful. I mean, it wasn't god awful, but you went to your bullpen way too early in games last year. Starting pitching to me is some guys that can give you innings. That is my number one priority, at least on my list.
Yeah, I mean, if Josh Naylor goes, that's a huge void of production for the offense, regardless of postseason. But like, I would like to see that get filled with somebody in addition to Horowitz. But yeah, it's got to be starting pitching for me too. I'm with you, Chad. That was our biggest glaring hole that hampered us in the postseason. And I know postseason's different because you're basically using them as like a long reliever anyways, but like we needed something better than what we had. Minus Matthew Boyd, but he's gone.
What else offensively?
I don't. I mean, I could tell you all day that we need some power now. We need a guy who hits for average. But I don't know. Are you confident they're going to find someone like that? I mean, it's going to be, if they do find someone, again, it's kind of like pitching. The Guardians are going to look for that guy that has had a decent, he's probably going to bat 260, 270, maybe hit like 12 bombs and 50. Like nobody's that's going to knock your socks off. So I don't know. Like I wish I could say, oh yeah, they could go grab this guy or that guy or this guy. It's a very specific conversation when you're talking about Guardians free agency. So hopefully maybe there's a guy out there, but I'm not confident that they're going to sign anybody. I think they're going to roll with the young guys, especially with how well that AAA team hit the baseball last year. They might just let the kids play.
Well, I think it's interesting though. Obviously, you did make your offense better with this move. Like there's no doubt about that. Spencer Horowitz is a much better offensive player than Andres Gimenez. So your offense is better. You do have to go into the next season understanding that like a guy that was a major part of your offense next year is not going to be around for most of the year in David Fry. So how are we replacing the production of David Fry? Are we relying on Jhonkensy Noel's improvement? Are we confident that Lane Thomas is going to be able to turn back into playoff Lane Thomas during the regular season? You know what I mean? Like
there's another guy I wouldn't be surprised who's gone.
Who, Lane?
Lane Thomas.
Yeah, maybe, but also he's not costing them a ton. And if they think they could compete, he's a guy that I could see them just keeping around. Sure. I mean, like,
sure,
no rush to get rid of him. And he's not.
He's on the bubble.
Well, you're not. I'll tell you this: if you go to a team, and again, as much as it might feel like a shock to the system right now, go read the Blue Jays Twitter page. People are not thrilled that Spencer Horowitz is gone from that team in Toronto. The fan reaction is not super excited there. You're not gonna get a player of any kind of caliber like that with Lane Thomas at this point. Not to say Lane deserves all the credit he gets for everything in Cleveland for the rest of his life after what he did in the playoffs.
Yep.
But like if you call a team right now, you're not going to get any kind of significant return for Lane Thomas in the last year of his contract. So to me, he's a guy that I feel like it's worth it to just let his contract play out. That's fine. If you're trying to compete, he's a good player. Let his contract play out.
You think they're gun shy to extend a center fielder that they acquire midseason?
What'd you say?
I said, you think they're gun shy to extend an outfielder that they acquired midseason?
Yes.
Miles Straw.
Yeah, Miles Straw. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. It was huge breaking news, and it'll be weird. I mean, again, when moves like this happen, it forces you to really dive in and analyze all the breaks and the ins and the outs, and then the way our entire life and society works, it forces people to the extremes. When the reality is, Andres Gimenez was a good ass baseball player for the Cleveland Guardians. He was the best defender. One of the best defenders in the league at any position, certainly the best second baseman defensively in the league. He was valuable. He was also just, you could see the reactions from the guys a little bit. Stephen Kwan put something up. Some of the guys have posted about it. He was well liked in that locker room. He was a part of the chemistry of the team. And listen, you don't keep guys for that reason, but if you like the trade, there's no reason to knock.
You sure about that?
What's that?
Is he sure about that?
Yeah.
Then we just re-sign Hedges for another year.
That's exactly why they said it.
Okay, but their philosophy on catcher is a much different thing, and they were also relying on Bo Naylor to develop.
No, we signed him again this year, didn't we?
Yeah,
just for vibe. That's incredible.
He's also the backup catcher. You can sign backup catchers for the vibe.
Vibe guy.
Total vibe
Glue guy.
That is true. There's a huge difference between Hedges being a vibe guy and your 3-time Gold Glove winner.
Yeah, right. And Platinum Glove winner.
But it's fair to say he was an important part of what they've done over the last several years. It's going to be weird not having him out there. He was the last bastion, by the way, of that Francisco Lindor trade. So now the Francisco Lindor trade is gone.
No, it's Horowitz.
What's that?
It's Horowitz.
And now Lindor has turned into Horowitz. That is the trade right now for Cleveland. And God, I hope he's good. I hope he comes in here and makes us all go, whoa, what did they pull off in the offseason? Because there is a chance that happens. But, man, it's going to be weird not seeing him out there.
I think everybody else is on waivers. Amed Rosario went on waivers.
Yeah.
I believe. The other two guys, they never made up to the big leagues. I forget the names.
No,
but
I'm just surprised Ernie Clement wasn't thrown in the deal.
Oh,
I wish he was.
I was hoping John McDonald was coming back.
There's a vibe guy. Oh, John McDonald. God.
Johnny Mac.
The white Carlos Baerga.
Yeah. I don't know why I said yeah to that. That made no sense. But yes, go for it.
It didn't at all, but it made sense in my head. So
I appreciated that. All right, before we get off the Guardians real quick, I'm going to do my cheer of the week early, guys, because the other big time breaking news that happened tonight, but Cleveland Indians legend and a man who's the move hangs over the team to this day, but Rocky Colavito passed away today. He was in his 90s, so what a great life. And what a legacy that guy left. Rocky Colavito. I think if you talk to anybody that was a kid in Colavito's day, so we're talking about grandparents at this point, Rocky Colavito was probably their favorite player. He was a guy that represented and did everything for the Cleveland Indians, and he was also one of their best players. And that trade to send him off to Boston was they still call it the curse to this day, as the Cleveland baseball team hasn't won a title since. And but man, he meant a lot to Cleveland. He still came around a lot to Cleveland baseball games. And so I'm just giving my early cheers while we're on the Guardians. It's topical. I'm just giving my early cheers of the week to Rocky Colavito and what a life he had.
It must have been the Jimenez trade that did it.
Jesus.
Too soon? Too soon?
Yes.
No, seriously, rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Christ, Chad. Way too soon. All right. Real quick, baseball winter meetings. Last thing I want to talk about with baseball, but Juan Soto's getting paid $700+ million.
Is anybody shocked? I mean, I hate MLB free agency. I really do. It's like, oh, you mean Soto went to one of the 7 teams that could afford him?
Right.
Here's my big surprise face. Like, that's it.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know why this is even a big deal. I do know. Obviously, I do know, but it shouldn't be any surprise to anybody.
Nah.
I love it on every level. I love it because the Mets are getting 15 years of one. He's going to be Albert Pujols in 5 in the way he plays. Just an absolute trash defender. Great offense. That offense is going to be great for those 15 years. But if
it's not going to be great for 15 years,
it'll be good. It'll be good. And then you know what? He's not going to be able to run the bases. He's going to crack his knees when he does a little Soto shuffle.
Jesus.
What?
He's going to crack his knees.
Yeah, he's going to be old. He needs to crack a little bit when you move like that. But so Mets fans will be miserable in about 5 years. But then 2, the reaction out of Yankees fans is my favorite. That's my cheer of the week. I mean,
damn it. That was going to be my cheer of the week.
We're talking one of the best things to just sit on a couch and watch is just go on TikTok or Twitter and just watch videos of Yankees fans reacting to this. They're so quick to throw this guy under the bus. The guy that literally carried them to a World Series title this year.
Nope,
with the exception of World Series berth this year, with the exception of Giancarlo Stanton. But they threw this guy straight under the bus. They're so pissed off at him. And they're like, it's gold. It's absolute gold.
My favorite ones are the one where he called him money hungry. Like, oh my, how dare you turn down our $700 million offer to go to take this $700 million offer. And there was this one guy that was like, this is your home. This is your home. You see this? You see this shithole? That's your home. And they show the area around Citi Field. Oh yeah, because the fucking Bronx is this palatial utopia.
Yeah.
No, you stupid piece of shit. Yankees fans are the worst. And yeah, that's my cheers of the week. Hey, we got cheers of the week out of the way because that was my cheers was to Juan Soto for causing this uproar.
It's so great.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it again, it still just underlines this horrible aspect of baseball, which is, God forbid you have a team with a player. And again, I know here in Cleveland, we've experienced one time ever, we've experienced a guy who bucked this trend, and his name's Jose Ramirez, and he's the GOAT for it. But if you're any one of 20 teams in Major League Baseball, maybe even more than that, 22 teams, and you develop a player too well, and he gets to be too good, you can kiss his ass goodbye. And he's going to be on the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Mets or the Red Sox, but he sure as shit ain't staying with your team. And that, I don't know how you do it without a salary cap, a salary floor, all that. I don't want to even dive into that discussion.
You got to do it.
But God damn it, you got to find a way, baseball, to try to find a way to allow your teams to keep their star players. It's why most of your stadiums struggle to sell tickets. Because people can't fall in love with players.
15 years.
Right.
What
do they care? The Mets don't give a shit.
That's crazy. Though.
And that's the other thing. That's the other thing in baseball, right? Like in football, and we're going to get to the Browns next. But in football, the Browns make a move like they do with Deshaun Watson. They pay him more guaranteed money than anybody's ever been paid in the history of the game. And they go out on a limb to make this move, and they're going to jump in and spend all the money they can spend. And when it doesn't work, there's repercussions. When it doesn't work, there's repercussions whether it works or not. If it works, nobody cares. But when it doesn't work, there's repercussions because you are tied in to that salary and that contract, and it's going to affect the other moves that you can make. The Mets don't give a shit. Steve Cohen's worth $72 billion.
Yeah, and 30 cents.
If in 7 years Juan Soto's a bum, which he's not going to be, but if he is, they'll just keep paying him. It doesn't matter. They'll just go sign the next guy. There's no repercussion to this either. It's just the Yankees were going to give him 12 years. Fuck it, let's give him 15. Who gives a shit? The way baseball is going, it's just shit. We'll just sign a guy for the next 50 years. Who gives a shit?
Do you see that? Did you see that?
Pay him an outrageous amount of money, and it doesn't matter.
Did you see that meme going around? It said Juan Soto in 2039. It's just a picture of Bartolo Colon.
Oh, God.
Is the best.
That is so good. Yeah. I don't know, man. Good for him. Good for him making that money. That bat is worth it. That's a crazy bat. But it's just another in the line of, this is why you struggle to sell tickets. Welcome to it, MLB.
Yeah.
All right, let's move off of baseball and let's move into topic number 2. Joe, it looks like you're staring into my soul.
I was going to share something real quick.
Oh.
Before we get off baseball, one thing.
All right.
It's an interesting chart I had found. Oh, can you pull it in the show?
Oh, yeah, I got it.
And this is revenue versus payroll and teams.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And this was floating around a couple weeks ago, but Mets between 2023 and 24 spent 87% of their revenue on their payroll. Guardians are sitting at 42.5%. Obviously, much different figures we're working with here. But I just thought this was a very interesting way. And it's like the teams you expect are down low, like Rays, A's, Orioles are actually kind of surprising down here. But it's less about the amount of money you're making and just the ratio of how much of that money you're spending on your team's payroll.
Well, and look at the difference. You know, you can talk about the numbers, but like, look at the Mets.
Yeah.
That only left them with $51 million.
Yeah.
That's a $51 million difference. Now go over and look at the Guardians for all the people that say they can't spend money. Look at the difference.
Right.
They can spend money.
$170 million difference.
Yep.
Where's that? Where's that at? Where'd that go?
I don't know. Check Dolan's pockets.
It's a crazy chart.
Yeah.
Anyways,
that's really interesting, Joe.
Yeah, just a fun one. But yeah, let's do a little Browns talk, eh?
Yeah, let's do it, eh? In Canadian accents, eh?
Hey.
All right, boys. Cleveland Browns get absolutely curb stomped by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just gross. 3-10 on the year. I love from a national perspective that the Browns are not talked about as like I keep hearing that like the Jets are the most disappointing team in football. The 49ers are the most disappointing team in football or whatever. And I'm sitting over here as a Browns fan like, yeah, fucking right. Totally.
I mean, the Browns don't deserve any attention, good or bad. They don't deserve any attention after this year.
So 3-10, they get steamrolled by the Steelers. I do not understand. I want to say this about the Browns and the Steelers game real quick. I do not understand how coaches, Jim Schwartz, I'm looking at you. Go back and watch that game. I said it at the very beginning of the game on Twitter, and it happened all game long. Go back and watch that game again. Anytime the Pittsburgh Steelers are in third, or Joe, anytime the Pittsburgh Steelers are in 3rd and 7 or more, what do?
Zone.
What? No, not defense. No, not the Browns. What do the Steelers do? They do the same thing every time. Every time.
They throw it deep.
That's exactly right, Chad.
Yep.
Russ Wilson drops back, and he just loads up a ball down one of the sidelines.
Whoa, wait. Are you saying that they call a play to get the yardage that they need for the first down?
No, you know what they do? Well, yes. First of all, yes.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
But it's also they every single time it's 3rd and long, they call up. It's not even calling up a play. They just do a playground, like sandlot football kind of deal play, where Russ just drops back and loads one up and fires it down the field. It doesn't matter the coverage. It doesn't matter what they're looking at. He doesn't read the defense for 1 second. He just sends his dudes on a fly route down the sideline, and he throws it to them. And the Browns got burnt on it like 4 times in this game. And they always get burnt on it. Like, bitch, Jim Schwartz, play man, but give him a 12-yard cushion because they're not going 7 yards, I promise you. And get ready for the ball flying down the field. They get beat on it over and over. And if they don't get beat on it, they get called for a penalty. The Pittsburgh Steelers convert more of those plays by either just getting a penalty or when George Pickens is in the game by just completing a pass on some weird acrobatic catch. In this game, it was Mike Williams, but it was driving me crazy all game long because every time the Browns would play well on 1st and 2nd down, the Steelers would just loft up a pass down the sideline. And damn it, if it didn't hurt the Browns more than not. And I don't understand how you don't defend it. I don't even know where the safeties weren't even over there. Safeties didn't even exist.
Well, I mean, there's better things to do.
That was my rant from the Steelers game because otherwise I don't really give a shit about the Steelers game. Jaylen Warren looks like Jerome Bettis every time he plays the Browns.
Yeah, sure does, doesn't he?
Defensively, the Steelers aren't great, but the Browns just made them look great. I don't know. The Browns stink. They're 3-10, and they are a 3-10 team. And so let's talk about some events of this week. before we go into this very fun game this weekend between the 3-10 Browns and the 12-1 Kansas City Chiefs in Cleveland. But before we get to that game,
God, I don't care.
What was everybody talking about online today?
Whether Taylor was going to be at the game or not? Is that it?
She's at the game. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Is it in Cleveland?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Sure.
Is it the quarterback situation?
Nope. Here's what everybody was talking about on Twitter today, and I want to get your thoughts on
Deshaun
it.
showing his story of eating pasta on a balcony.
Yeah, Deshaun posting pasta balcony videos.
Cool.
On Twitter. And so here's what happened. Half the people became enraged because Deshaun Watson put up a video of him like on a balcony overlooking the ocean with his girlfriend eating pasta.
Cool.
People were enraged. And then other people were almost like defending it, but like kind of calling out the people for being enraged.
Yeah.
So, Chad, you saw it a little bit, obviously. Yeah. What's your take on this?
I don't know. They were probably waiting for their other swinger couples to show up. I don't know. Like, it's just, I don't care. This guy can do whatever the hell he wants as long as it's not in a Browns uniform. I don't care. I don't care what he does. I don't care anything about his personal life. I don't care. Just stay away from my football team. It's honestly, it's people wanted. I think one of the reactions, one of the rages people were getting in was he posted it after the Browns were officially eliminated from playoff contention. Who cares? Who cares? This guy, there's 2 more years of him here. We're going to have to deal with it. I don't know if it was like a shot at Cleveland, whatever, but nobody cares. Nobody should care what this guy is doing right now. But in a 3-10 season, in a lost season, people are going to look to hook onto things, and him eating pasta on a balcony, waiting for his swinger orgy is gonna be like a main Brown story. So I thought nothing of it. I was like, great. I was like that ravioli or that tortellini or whatever the hell you were eating looks good, pal. Just go do whatever it is that you do, as long as it's just not in Cleveland and not on the football field.
Oh God.
That's it. That's all I care.
Gregory says his rehab doctor's in Miami, so the team knows he's there. Right? Like, yeah, fine.
Cool.
Listen, I posted about this on Twitter, and I think this is the proper take. You're allowed to live your life. Even though you suck and you're an asshole. You're allowed to live your life. And you're coming off surgery. And you're rehabbing, and you're seeing your doctor in Miami. So you're in Miami, you're with your girlfriend, you're posting a picture on the beach, blah, blah, blah. In and of itself, nothing wrong with that, right? But goddamn, if this guy doesn't prove to continue to be the most tone-deaf, lack of self-awareness person on the planet, like his unwillingness and his unwavering dedication to not having any self-awareness whatsoever is off the charts. He spent all offseason posting pictures next to like sports cars and in designer clothes. And like, again, in and of itself, fine. But you also got to remember where you're at. Your football team, the guys that you are supposed to be like family with, whatever, is in the midst of a terrible season. You were the root cause of all of that. And like at some point, from a PR perspective, because at this point, Deshaun Watson he's a person, always a person first, but he's a business too. From a PR perspective, like you got to be better. You maybe don't post the picture on the beach at the ocean. And again, I'm not worked up about it. I'm not outraged about it, but I do think it continues to show a lack of self-awareness and a lack of understanding of like his situation. I just think to be honest with you, I think he's just oblivious to. I think he just whatever.
If that is true, then yeah, that just makes him more of a piece of shit. Like if you somehow think that like a brag post, like a flex post of you being in Miami enjoying your life somehow means that my team was just eliminated from playoff contention. It's because I'm not there because I'm injured, and look at what I'm doing instead. Like no, if that's the case, then yeah, it just makes you an even bigger piece of shit. And you and Nathan Peterman should be competing for the emergency backup quarterback position next year.
Give it to Nathan.
Huh? Yeah,
give it to Nathan.
If that's true, but otherwise, this is God, man. We've talked about it in the past, Mike. I have.
Yeah,
the Browns are the last thing on my mind when it comes to Cleveland sports now, or any sports. As a matter of fact, I'd rather talk like FCS quarterfinal playoff action this weekend than talk Browns.
Big time.
Right now.
Big time.
Yeah. Like,
although
I have a chance to go to South Dakota to work the South Dakota UC Davis game.
Let's go Jackrabbits. Although what, Joe?
No, not the Jackrabbits. The Coyotes. Going to the Coyotes.
Ooh.
I was going to say, although trap game weekend.
Let's go. Joey's favorite weekend of the year.
It's draft game. It's draft game for the Chiefs.
It's always the December 15th game, isn't it, Joey? No matter who it is.
It is. It's this week. It's the week of trap.
Trap game. We'll talk about the game. We're going to get to the game in a minute.
Right.
Do you have any final thoughts on this, Joe?
No, I don't give a shit about it.
That's fine. Listen, man. I would like my quarterback to be a little more self-aware, and I'd like a person embroiled and embattled in all the shit he's been in to be a little more self-aware. But probably the reason he is embattled and embroiled in all the shit that he is in is because he does not have any self-awareness. So there's no outrage. I don't care that he did it. The guy he's allowed to be eating pasta on a balcony in Miami. Who cares about that? But like, just the self-awareness, totally gone, just gone out the window. Couple big roster moves for the Browns this week. One, Greg Newsome to the IR. So, and I don't remember whether it was last week or this week that they put Jed Wills on the IR too. So, the Jed Wills situation in Cleveland is over.
Bye.
And now Greg Newsome to the IR. So his season is done basically. So those two guys, again, there's a lot of questions. I don't think there's any question about the future of Jed Wills. Don't let me say that. I don't mean to get that wrong. There's no question about the future of Jed Wills. He is not going to be back with the Cleveland Browns. Lots of questions of the future of Greg Newsome. And he's probably the most polarizing player that's not named Deshaun Watson, although I don't think he's polarizing either. We all went to one.
Not in the same way.
We all went to one poll, and then there's Deshaun on the other poll and like 7 other guys that suck. But Greg Newsome, lots of questions about his future. So, boys, what do you think about the IR moves that happened today for the Browns? I think we know that the Jed Wills one signifies the end. Does Greg Newsome signify the same?
I kind of thought he was going to be gone before the year started. So I don't see why that's not that this IR move is like the catalyst for that, but like there's going to be a lot of changes to this defense in this offseason and a lot of changes that people probably aren't going to love. And I think he's probably going to be one of them. It's got to be. But it's going to be, they're not doing what they did. I hope they don't do what they did last year. They're not running back this defense at all.
Nope. You're right about that.
Bit of a fire sale, I think.
I don't know if we're going to call it a fire sale. They won't be getting rid of Myles Garrett or Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah or Denzel Ward or
what?
Probably like 4 other guys on that defensive line. You got a lot of good young players. There's a lot of good young players on this defense. But is Greg Newsome in trouble? Yeah. Is Juan Thornhill in trouble? Yes.
Oh, God.
To me, on the defense, it's those 2 guys. There's nobody else off the top of my head outside of just like, I don't know. Are they going to bring Jordan Hicks back? I don't know. I would love to. He's been great this year, but like, he's a 1-year contract guy. You know, like when we're talking about the 1-year contract guys, Shelby Maurice Hurst, those kind of guys, whatever.
Shelby Harris back, right?
Shelby signed a 2-year deal, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe that's an option after this year.
It's an out, yeah.
I gotta bring him back.
But like, I don't think it's going to be like a wholesale changes thing. But Juan Thornhill's in trouble, and I think Greg is too. And it's a little bit of a shame because I think I'm higher on Greg Newsome. Like if you took the fan average, I'm on the high side for Greg Newsome. I think he's a really talented kid, and I think he's got a little growing up to do. And I think he's got some improvement to make on the field, but I also watch him make really good plays almost every game. And I think Greg's got it in him to be that kind of a player. But man, from the beginning with him, he had a great rookie year, and then it was, I want to be an outside guy. And then that was like a problem. And then they have Emerson, and now the three of them got to work together, but they didn't really want to work. Like it felt like it was an issue for Greg. I don't know. Greg's tenure here has just been too tumultuous. And I don't know that he's going to survive this offseason.
Yeah, I don't know that he is either. I mean, if there was a cut candidate, yeah, he's definitely one of them. I mean, he hasn't made a whole lot of noise. I mean, ever since his rookie year. I mean, with all the drama with him about wanting to be outside, but they put him on inside. He didn't seem to want to accept his role, but he did, and he's played pretty well in it. But he's just, I don't think he's done it. I don't think he's done it well enough to convince Andrew Berry and the rest of this front office that he needs to be re-signed. Maybe they bring him back on a friendly deal, on a team-friendly deal. I doubt he's going to take it. Jed Will's by, but yeah, Greg Newsome, I don't know. It remains to be seen, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's not back this offseason and they're looking for a new slot nickel corner. Juan Thornhill. Yeah, you can don't let the door hit you, bud.
They gotta find a safety at some point, don't they?
They have to find a safety. There's got.
How do you miss on John when they signed John Johnson? It was widely celebrated, like the signing of the offseason.
Sure.
Fail. Sure. And then they signed Juan Thornhill. That was the guy we all wanted that offseason. We were everybody a couple years ago was like, oh yes, Juan Thornhill's the guy we gotta get in here.
You remember that though. You remember the Juan Thornhill thing. Everybody wanted him when the rest of the top guys were gone. Like he was like the last of the remaining. Like, okay, he could be good. Like he's a decent free safety.
Oh no! See, I don't think you're remembering that right. Like I think Juan Thornhill was the guy that people had on their list right at the beginning of the offseason.
Well, it's because I think that's a guy. He wasn't the top guy though. I think that was a guy people thought that the Browns could get. I don't think I don't think he was like the top option at free safety in that free agent class. I think that's a guy they were just kind of pinpointing on, and he just hasn't worked out. But yeah, Greg Newsome, he could be back, he could not be. I think he's kind of on that bubble. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him this offseason. But yeah, I think Juan Thornhill's gone.
Yeah. So that's all interesting. I think a thing that it's amazing when a guy has a name for himself, how he makes news, even though it doesn't need to make news. They cut Kadarius Toney, so Tony's gone. And I saw so many posts about it, and I was like,
why?
Tony hasn't been good since college.
He's so bad.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and listen, he made it to this offense where one of the things they've lacked a little bit is kind of explosive speed, and that's what he's known for having is explosive speed. Nope. They couldn't even find the field for him. He made a couple nice returns, but you couldn't even get him on the field offensively. So Tony's gone. And then for the Browns, before we get into this Chiefs game, boys, apparently we need a kicker.
Yeah, we knew that a long time ago.
But yes, we did. But
it's bad.
Woof. Now, here's what I'm going to say. I think there's a shot you bring Dustin Hopkins back and make him your kicker. Here's why I say this. We've seen a lot of cases of guys getting the yips at the kicker position over the years. You very rarely fix that during the season. But we've seen a lot of guys have terrible years and then come back the next year and play really well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Because you suck, you're just going to keep trotting him out there, and that's fine.
No reason to cut him. No reason to cut him right now.
But, Dustin Hopkins could be back and be your kicker next year, and he could be great. He could be great, but man, it's been painful. It's been painful.
Yeah, I think it's a thing where you just sign a couple guys in the off season, take them through training camp, and actually have a battle for the position. But yeah, you're not going to cut him before next preseason. There's no reason to. You're not going to win any games. He might help you get a better draft position. Honestly, at this point, keep kicking the field goals and
keep missing.
absolutely hitting neither.
Yeah, give you the best chance to draft like Cam Ward or something. That'd be great. Yeah, keep doing it, dude.
That'd be crazy.
Keep doing it. Maybe they told us, hey, listen, don't keep us in games, okay? We need that third pick. We need that third pick, okay? You know what? We could have went up 13-10. I don't want to, okay? I really don't want to.
I don't want to.
You keep that third pick.
And yes, we did just sign him.
3 years?
We did sign him to an extension. Gregory, on his 40th birthday, Gregory's drinking Jamesons and giving us cap breakdowns. But yes, if he's a pre-June, it'd be a $5 million cap hit. Again, I don't think they do it. I don't think that. I think it's, hey, get your shit together this offseason and then come back and be that guy you were last year.
Yeah, no, yeah. Again, listen, it's not like he's been terrible all the time. Again, he was great last year. He was terrific last year. So maybe he does come back next year and be a great kicker. So I'm willing to give him another shot if they bring him back. So, yeah.
And
it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he's our kicker next year.
You signed Rodrigo Blankenship in the offseason. You see what he's been doing?
Yeah.
Yep.
On TikTok?
What is he doing?
For those who don't know, he every week he posts him kicking the best kicking performance or performances from the week to try to get signed because he's free agent right now. And nails it. He does the entire video in one take. I don't know if he does multiple videos, so if he misses one, but like does the entire video one take, kicks every field goal, has like a ladder like simulating like the height of somebody's like arm on the D line, and recreates the entire kicking performance in one take. It's awesome.
Is he still wearing his rec specs?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's got to.
Okay. Then sign him. Absolutely sign him.
Imagine.
Without the rec specs,
Imagine.
no. Rodrigo Blankenship sans rec specs. I don't want him. But if he's still wearing them, in.
Yeah.
That's that dog.
All right, boys. Browns, Kansas City Chiefs in Cleveland, Sunday. 12-1, Kansas City Chiefs. Coming off a victory Sunday night, wrapping up their 97 straight division title versus the 3-10 Cleveland Browns. I will say this. The Chiefs have had the season they've had. And the Cleveland Browns have been like the bizarro world version of the Chiefs. The Chiefs have played in a ton of games where they've scored like 19 points, 17 points, 14 points, and they've won a ton of games 19-16, or 17-14. They have won a ton of one-score games. They have not been a proficient offense this season. Offensively, they've not been great at all. But man, they have found every way, just like the Browns. The Browns, even though it doesn't feel like it at 3-10, have been in pretty much every game they've played this season, outside of one or two games, including this game against Pittsburgh. They've been right there in the games for a lot of them, and they have found every way to lose a game. The Kansas City Chiefs have really trailed in most of the games that they've played this year, but they have found every way to win games this year. And so I think what that adds up to, boys, I think we got a game coming on Sunday. I don't think this is going to be a disaster of a football game. I think we got a close game coming our way on Sunday.
20-18 Chiefs, because the Chiefs don't want to beat anybody in convincing fashion this year. Done. Next.
All right, we got Chad's prediction, 20-18. Joe, how do you see this game going?
Oh man, the Browns defense, I think, plays Kansas City as good as anybody, and this, especially with this year, they don't have a ton of wide receiver threats. They're going to be very tight end heavy, very run heavy, and that's what's going to kill us. I think Pacheco can run circles around this defense in his like weird running style. But ultimately, like if we can get the ball out of their hands. So that's what's going to kill us. If they keep possession and do their little clock grinding like script that they do, it's going to be a really tough game for the Browns. If we can get Jameis Winston the ball, though, we can get a couple stops on defense. I think he can light up their defense. Probably throw like a pick 6 or 2 like in the mix, but like I think he could throw for a lot of yards, hopefully mostly to our team in this game. And the Browns seemingly have been able to play up to competition this year, and I don't expect anything less for this game. This is given that this team is the Browns, that is complete horrible dog shit this year. Like, this is one of the games where it's like, I kind of think that they're going to be competitive in it. Like, I think they're going to play up to the Chiefs competition. I think they can get some stops on this offense. And I think that they can score some points. I mean, I think this could be like, I would love for it to be like Chef Brian Cates kind of said what I was thinking, 28-20, but like an 8-point win here. So maybe we'll go like 24-16 or something like that. Just be a little weird.
Yeah,
nope,
listen.
Too much point differential. 24-22 Chiefs.
All right, fair.
Oh,
to me, this game, I really
Chiefs
do
also
feel this.
might not have a kicker.
What's that?
They might not have a kicker.
Right.
Well, they will probably send someone, but
listen, I don't want to sound too crazy here, but you guys have hit it, right? This is not an explosive Chiefs offense. They do have Pacheco back, but he just got back and he's not playing great yet. They don't run the ball well. Their offensive line is not great at all. Their wide receivers are okay. Travis Kelce looks exhausted out there. And they're not that offense that makes you feel like they're just going to go out there and put 40 on you like they've been so many times. And I do think the Browns could go hang a decent number on them. To me, the key to this game is Jameis Winston. More than anything else. In other games, we've talked about winning in the trenches, or we've talked about, not getting beat deep or whatever. And I think all that matters. But one thing that I've noticed, I've seen why Jameis was never able to get his career really corrected in the NFL during his stretch with the Browns. And it's because of this. Once Jameis makes his first mistake of the game, and I mean big mistake, like turnover mistake, it snowballs on him fast. Once that first turnover happens, he's a different guy, and it's not in a good way. And it feels like he struggles to try to get himself right. And it's like he tries to overcorrect on what he's doing. And it's almost, once he makes the first one, it's almost inevitable that the next one is coming. And so for Jameis, this is not a good Chiefs. It's not a bad scoring Chiefs defense. They don't give up a ton of points. But this isn't their defensive backfield isn't great. They don't get a ton of pressure on the quarterback. They're very much bend, don't break. So if you can make them break a few times and you can just hang on to the ball and not turn it over, I think the Browns have a real shot in this game.
Talk yourself into that all you want, but in their Super Bowl runs, the Chiefs have been a bend but don't break defense, but they always seem to make plays when they have to.
Can I get to my final part of my thing? You're right, and that's why I think I do think Jameis will make one or two of those mistakes that will sway this game. But I think there's going to get some points. I think there's going to be some points put up in this one, and so especially the Browns coming off a really disappointing offensive performance. So I'm going to say 28-25 Chiefs over Browns in Cleveland. But I think it's going to be a fun game. I think we're back to that, like when the Browns lost to Denver and we were like, man, that was fun. I didn't even remember having fun with this team. That was very fun. I think we're back to a game like that. And yet here we will be next week talking about a 3-11 football team.
And the Chiefs will still win the Super Bowl this year with all this. This will be a poster year for Patrick Mahomes.
And like, only this year we're going to be like, how the hell did they do it? But it's Patrick Mahomes. So
they're going to do. I almost don't have a doubt they're going to do it again this year.
No, it's exactly what we learned from all those Tom Brady years, isn't it? Remember how many years we would come out and be like, Brady doesn't look as good this year. He's getting older. They don't have as good of a supporting cast. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. Boom, February, Super Bowl Patriots. That's what the Chiefs are at this point. And so until somebody can take them down, listen, the Bills look awesome this year. The Lions are awesome this year. Until somebody takes down the Chiefs, though, it's the Chiefs to win.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, real quick. Assholes of the week. Where we call out somebody for just being a total asshole. Because I do have one more topic I want to get into before this show ends. So, boys, why don't we send it around the horn? We already kind of did our cheers of the week, but I don't want to end with asshole of the week. So who are the assholes of the week? Chad, go ahead.
Joe, you go first. I'm going to need some time on mine because I got a rant to go on.
Yeah, I don't have a rant. It's going to be the MLB and no salary cap, no salary floor. It's just the absolute death of the sport, aside from the golden at bat, which honestly, like, no, I'm not even going to get into that.
The golden at bat, the dumbest fucking thing.
That's a whole nother thing. But the way that you can do a contract, the way they've done it with Soto, the way the Dodgers are doing all their contracts with all these deferrals, like it's just ruining mid-small market teams. And like the NBA has done a great job, I think, of like making good talent available to every market. And you just don't have that in baseball. And it's just tragic. And it's, man, it's tough to see, tough to watch.
Yeah. I have a group of assholes, just a collective of assholes. But the video got released, I think just today, of see those guys that attacked Paul Bissonnette in that parking lot, and that like group that like ganged up on Bissonnette, former NHL player and now part of Spittin' Chicklets, and they ganged up on him. And if you didn't hear the story, basically he was in one of his kind of like favorite places that he goes, and he's kind of friends with the manager there. Well, these drunk guys came off the golf course, and it was a bunch of these like drunk middle-aged to kind of older guys, but they were like hammered, and they didn't want to serve them. And so they started getting like physical with the manager of this place, and Biz was there. And if you remember, Biz in his hockey days was kind of a physical player.
Yep.
And so Biz went and stepped in because he was like friends with these managers, and he stepped in like to try to kind of get these guys away. Well, these guys just went ballistic. Well, the video came out today, like the body cam video from the police, but also like the security footage and all that. And man, he had 8 dudes chasing him through a parking lot. And for the most part, he was just trying to stay away from them. But every once in a while, they would catch up to him, and like one guy just gets knocked straight out. Biz just knocks him out. Another time, they go out. They like gang up on him. Like Biz took some shots, but what he said was true. He took some shots, but he feels like he gave more back. But what a group of assholes to show up and treat like restaurant staff. Like I hate people that do that. These
I hate people
trying
that
to work. Man, just leave them alone and let them work. But B, to just gang attack one dude, and then most of you got your ass kicked. You're all a bunch of assholes, and I'm glad most of them are in jail. So that's great. Go on, Chad. Go on your rant.
Yeah, tough. That's actually should be a cheers to Biz too, because cheers to Biz for fucking just beating the shit out of some assholes. I mean, and this like Biz, like obviously Biz, when you're an NHL enforcer, you're not like a trained boxer or a trained fighter or anything, but a lot of those guys train MMA in the offseason. They practice fighting. So it's not like Biz was this guy who threw punches in the NHL and didn't know how to fight. Biz knows how to fight. Okay, boys, my asshole of the week is the people in the South who and the people in the
all
South,
of them,
just and most specifically just the people who just continue to carry this narrative of that the SEC is just somehow getting treated poorly because the SEC is such a dominant conference, and how could you leave out the Alabamas of the world? How could you leave out how could you leave out Ole Miss of the world? How could you leave it because of their strength of record, strength of schedule? It's time to have an honest conversation about the SEC. Okay, because this is 2 years running now. 2 years running now that you've been riding the coattails, and this was long before these past 2 years. This is 2 years running now that you've been riding the coattails of Georgia and Alabama. You have allowed them to shape the identity of your conference, to make people think that this is one of the most deepest conferences in the country. And for a little while there, it was. Okay. But that narrative is over. I mean, if you take, again, just judging by the last 2 years now, and again, before I go on, let me just say the SEC is a very talented conference. The SEC, obviously, there's really good teams in the SEC. I don't want to but to make it sound like that there's some world beater and that there's no other conference that's worthy of being the same breadth as the SEC. It's complete and utter bullshit. The SEC was 5-7 against Power 5 conferences out of conference schedules last year. Okay. Now and now let's take a look at this year a little bit, right? First off, play 9 conference games. Don't play 8 conference games.
Agreed. 100%.
Don't play 8 conference
100%.
games. Scheduling that cupcake in the middle of November when like Ohio State's playing Penn State or Penn State is playing Michigan or Wisconsin in a minute, it's absolute bullshit. All right. But again, let's get into this season a little bit. All right. You want to claim that strength of schedule, strength of record. And sure, those schedules were tough this year. But right in the mix was a bunch of these other schools, right? Like if you take a look at, again, Georgia, Texas, everybody's up there. But you know who's right in the mix there with strength of schedule and strength of record? Purdue. The likes of Purdue, Maryland. Purdue and Maryland had a better strength of schedule record than Alabama this year. So don't make it sound like that you are some sort of the ungodly conference, right? LSU lost in week 1. That mighty LSU, who was quite the powerhouse for a while there between Nick Saban and Les Miles. LSU lost in week 1 to a USC team in their last 15 Power 5 conference games was giving up an average of 38 points per game. USC held you to half of that and beat you in week 1. Florida had their largest margin of victory against Miami. Or Florida allowed Miami to have their largest margin of victory in Gainesville since 1983. Mississippi State lost to the team that was picked last to finish last in the Big 12 in Arizona State. And guess what? They're in the playoff now. Okay. Texas A&M. I hate to pick on your Aggies, Mike, but Texas A&M lost to Notre Dame in Kyle Field. SEC home field advantages. Hello, I thought that was supposed to be a thing. Then Notre Dame went on to lose to Northern Illinois the last week.
Okay. All right. Wait. Now you're ranting about something stupid.
Sorry.
Yes, you're right. You're right. But Notre Dame's also hosting a playoff game this week.
Let me move on. Let's go to Ole Miss.
Their loss to Auburn sucked worse.
Ole Miss 9-3, right? Making this. Oh man, we beat the shit out of Georgia. Yeah, guess what? Ole Miss, you were 4-8, Kentucky's lone SEC win this year. Okay, Oklahoma, but hey, Oklahoma beat Houston this year, 16-12. Mighty Houston, right? And then Cal, Auburn. You thought Auburn might have saved the conference. They almost lost to Cal, who had trouble closing out USC Davis. So let's be honest. Stop riding the coattails of Georgia and Alabama. Okay. And then let's go. And then finally, my last little part of this rant, let's go to the only thing that the committee cares about. And that's the eye test. Do you think for one fucking second that a Nick Saban coached Alabama team would have looked like that against a just subpar Oklahoma team?
No.
Do you think a Nick Saban coached Alabama team would have looked like that against Vanderbilt?
Nope.
No, not at all.
Hey.
Not
It's a good Vandy team. It's a good Vandy team.
So listen, the SEC people, the jig is up. Okay, the jig is up with this conference right now. I'm so I don't usually let this get to me, but the just the arrogance is just absolutely getting to me this year because your favorite team isn't in the playoff this year. They left it out. And guess what? And then you talk about, SMU doesn't deserve to be in the playoff. Boise doesn't deserve to be in the playoff. Guess what? You look at the schedules in the SEC, and with the way the SEC has been these past 2 years, they have with the SMUs of the world, the Boises of the world would have every shot in the world to win at least 8 to 9 games in that conference this year. So that's it. I'm not saying the SEC isn't a good conference at all, but it's not as elite and premier as it used to be anymore. So stop fucking saying it.
No, you're 100% right. I'm a fan of an SEC team, and the middle level tier of the SEC is The top tier of the SEC, I think, is amazing. But the mid-level team, that mid-level tier of the SEC is where they feel like they're so good. They're not. I'm a Texas A&M fan. They're not.
Yeah.
Mizzou, no. South Carolina, blah. Ole Miss, blah. Florida, blah. LSU, blah. Arkansas, blah. Like that mid-level of the SEC it's not great.
It's blah. It's meh.
It's not great. So you're right. You're right, Chad. So that actually, Chad, you transition us into the last thing I want to talk about. And it, boys, is this. There it is. There is your
Beautiful.
college football playoff. It was given to us on Sunday of this last week. And I just want to run through it with you real quick, guys, because I am so excited for this. One, and let's just start with the first round. I love that we're getting home games for 4 of these teams.
Yes.
I love that Ohio State is about to play a home playoff game. I love that Texas is about to play a home playoff game. We're about to get a Penn State whiteout in a playoff game.
Yeah.
We're about to get an in-state Notre Dame and Indiana game in a playoff game. The storylines of this first round of this playoff, absolutely incredible. I have seen some of the reactions to this playoff, and we still have people whining. We have people whining about whether the 13th team should have been the 12th team or the 14th team or whatever. Nah. Listen, this is what the whole point of this was. Leaving the 5th team out was ridiculous. But if you have to be in even a discussion of 13, 12, 13, 14, 15, if you're the one left out, you deserve it, Alabama, Ole Miss, whatever. If you're the one left out because we're having a discussion whether you're 13 or 12, kiss my ass. You're out. See you later. These are your teams, and this is the bracket. And so, boys, let's run through it real quick, and let's start, guys, on that lower right-hand side where we've got Penn State hosting SMU. A lot of people all up in arms about the route that Penn State has to get into that Final Four, as they're going to host SMU. And if they beat SMU, which is an if, guys, that's an if, because if you think Penn State's been amazing this year, you were smoking crack. It's an if they beat SMU, then they got to play in a bowl game against Boise State. But let's talk about that game, man. Happy Valley on that game, that playoff game is going to be wild.
Yeah, it's going to get real quiet there real quick, man. I mean, look, Penn State can be whatever seed they want, whatever record they want. They can't win a big game to save their life. And you shouldn't put any stock in them winning this game until they prove something on the field.
Yeah, it's a big prove-it game for Penn State. I mean, this is going to be the craziest atmosphere SMU has ever played in, and it's going to be nuts. So I'm expecting them to kind of weather a storm there in the first quarter, maybe first quarter and a half. But I mean, this SMU team is a resilient team, and I think they can. I mean, they showed it in the ACC championship game. So I do think, while I think Penn State jumps out to an early lead, I think SMU has all the tools and all the speed to be able to come back. The one thing I'm worried about in this game is SMU. Their secondary is not that good. The cornerbacks, they suck. They can't cover anybody.
Not great.
Yeah, it's not great. But again, the resiliency, they can get a couple of stops. They have the offense to be able to make this a shootout. If they can make this a shootout, I think they give themselves a chance.
All right, go up to that top right-hand side. I love this matchup, man. I think this is so cool. The state of Indiana with 2 teams in the college football playoff, and they're playing each other. Indiana, the Hoosiers, going up north to South Bend to take on Notre Dame. Talk about that game, boys.
Yeah, I really think the Texas A&M victory at the beginning of the year for Notre Dame really saved them to come in the playoffs. So Texas A&M was that victory was it was their premier victory. It was a great victory. Texas A&M is not a good.
You're being such a bitch. You're being such an asshole.
No, I'm kidding. But Notre Dame has been playing some really good football lately.
Yeah.
I mean, Indiana, it's still an unknown. I mean, it's a team that's looking for respect. I mean, they're again, just like again the game against Ohio State. They're trying to be the new kid on the block. Can they compete with the upper echelon team? They're going to have to give themselves a chance to prove it right here. Will they do it? I don't think so. But if they can make this like a 42-35 type of game, 42-31 type of game, I think they can give the respect that they're looking for. But Notre Dame on the other side, Notre Dame has been playing some really great football ever since that Northern Illinois loss. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, I still think Notre Dame wins it, but whether this is a close game or a blowout, I think it remains to be seen. It's all up to Indiana. It's a huge unknown with Indiana, but I still think Notre Dame wins.
Yeah, listen, Indiana's only challenge game that they played this year, they failed at. Right? Like Indiana's only really tough game they played, they failed at. And so I'm not buying them at all. I just there's certain games here. You couldn't write the script better than having a playoff game at Notre Dame Stadium. That is amazing. It's going to be a hell of an atmosphere. It's going to be great. Man, those Clemson Tigers scraped and clawed their way into the playoffs. They're kind of the last team in. And what they did in that conference, man, Clemson makes their way in. Their prize for making their way in is the SEC runner-up. They're going to Darrell K. Royal Stadium. I will tell you, if I was a Longhorn fan, which I am the opposite of that, Clemson's got a pedigree in the playoff.
Sure.
Dabo Swinney knows how to win in the playoff. And so you better not be expecting anything other than a really tough test with Clemson. I think Texas should be the favorite. They are going to be the favorite. And I think Texas is going to beat them, but Clemson's going to bring it in that game.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be no pushover. I mean, this isn't the same Clemson teams as the Clemsons of the past. But Dabo is going to definitely have his team ready. I hate Dabo Swinney.
So do I. My least favorite coach of all time.
But you can't deny that he always has his teams ready to go in big games. So yeah, this is going to be no pushover. I mean, this is the most evenly matched like 5-12 seed that you could have. Not evenly matched, but this is the most like deceptive 5-12 seed matchup you could have in this playoff. But I still think Texas comes out on top.
And then the last one, Joey, from your state down there in Tennessee, the Volunteers are going to make their way up to Columbus. It's the 8-9 matchup, and it's going to be a good one. The Tennessee Volunteers have had a good season, taking on the Ohio State Buckeyes. And again, you hate to say it, but the Buckeyes come limping into the playoff after just the most disappointing performance against Michigan of all time. An utter failure against the Wolverines. But the Buckeyes are going to be hosting a playoff game in the Horseshoe. Joey, can those boys from Tennessee come up here and do it, or are we feeling good about the Buckeyes?
I think we're going to have a bit of a revenge game for the Buckeyes. They got to take their anger out on somebody. It can't be Michigan for whatever reason. I don't see them coming to this game with a lack of heart and effort like they had in that Michigan game. Tennessee's a great game. They're kind of the anomaly to Chad's rant earlier, the SEC. Like, they are not the best SEC team, but they are consistently really good. That being said, they did also almost lose to Vanderbilt this year. I got to pick Ohio State in this one, not for homebodiness, but I think Ohio State's a better team here.
Well, Chad, we've seen this method, and I entirely blame Ryan Day for this, but we see this Ohio State team play one style of football all season long, and then they get to the Michigan game, and they decide they're going to play a completely different fucking style of football and act like they need to throw it back to Eddie George days and go old school football and just ignore the fact that they have completely outmanned a team like Michigan on the outside. They don't even try to get the ball to those guys. But they get to the playoff, and we saw it just a couple of years ago when they lost to Michigan, but man, did they come out. They should have beat Georgia in that game with C.J. Stroud because they all of a sudden played a better style of football. I kind of anticipate them to do that in this game. I feel like they're going to get back to their playmakers, get back to kind of spreading it out, scoring a ton of points. And I don't know if Tennessee can keep up with Ohio State if they do that.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they get the ball to the outside of the perimeter, I mean, Ohio State. I mean, you look at this entire bracket. Ohio State rolls out the best skill position players of any of these teams in this bracket. So as long as they're not stupid with their game plan, I think they can win this game. I mean, I think they need to be able to pressure Nico. I don't know how to say his last name. Maivia. Nico Rocky Maivia.
If you smell what the Nico is cooking.
Yeah. If they can put pressure on him and force him into bad decisions, because he can be forced into bad decisions, see that Vanderbilt game, you're going to have success. I think Tennessee has a really good defensive line. So I think if you're Will Howard, if you're Chip Kelly, if you're Ryan Day, the game plan is simple. Throw to set up the run. Get the ball on the outside, on the perimeter, and let your skill position players take over. And I think they do that because postseason Ohio State is very different from Michigan Ohio State. And I think they win this game.
And then give me that Ohio State-Oregon rematch, because give me that game on a neutral field, and I think it goes much differently for Ohio State. So, again, things very much still in front of Ohio State. Gregory asks, if Tennessee beats Ohio State, do you think Ryan Day gets fired? There may be a conversation with that, but I also think there's very much a path here for Ohio State to win the national title. And there should be. After the season that they had, it's good to see that they still have a shot at it. That's the best part about this 12-game playoff.
I think Ryan Day can get fired, excluding a berth in the semifinals. Like, you beat Tennessee, you lose to Oregon, I think he's still on the table to get axed.
Yeah, there's a chance. So, anyways, it's coming up. The bracket is delivered, but again, if you're an Ohio State fan, it's all on the table for you, and you've got a shot after taking a tough loss to Oregon, who winds up being the number one team in the country pretty much all year after they beat you, and a really disappointing game against Michigan. In the end, it's all on the table. Go win 1, 2, 3, 4 more games, and you're a national champion. And that's got to be the message from Ryan Day. So it'll be fun. It'll be exciting. And I cannot wait. It's the most exciting thing for me about the entire playoff to watch those 4 schools, Texas, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Penn State, host playoff games. It should be the craziest, most raucous crowds those places have ever seen. And it is going to be awesome to watch that happen. So, college football playoff coming up.
Let me tell you something, though, real quick. If that game plan doesn't happen, if for some reason the conservative Ohio State shows up and they're running on 3rd and 8 at their own 19 again, that crowd is going to turn on them quickly.
Yeah, well, as it should. What they're doing. Play to your strengths, idiots. We'll see what happens. All right. I think that's going to do it for episode 242. We already did our cheers of the week earlier in the show, so go on back and listen to those. But we'll still give a cheers to all of you. Everybody that joined us live here tonight, everybody that's going to listen to us later or watch us later, we appreciate you. You always get our biggest cheers. A big cheers goes out to the OBR for hosting us. Go over to the OBR.com and make sure you are subscribed over there and follow all of their socials and the streaming platforms as well. But we appreciate the OBR for hosting us. And that's going to do it for episode 242. For Joey Whalen at Garage Beers Joe, for Chad Meyer at Garage Beers Chad, I am Michael Keefe at Garage Beers Mike. Go follow the show at the Garage Beers on all the socials, and we will see you next week for episode 243. Until then, cheers, everybody.